So it looks like we're only a couple of weeks out from getting our next $1,400 stimulus checks, okay? And I'm gonna show you exactly how you can take that $1,400 and you can get into the world of real estate investing through a little thing I like to call wholesaling. Because let's face it, had you taken the $1,200 stimulus check that you got back in April of 2020 and invested it in Bitcoin, you'd be up about 620% right now, or in other words, about $9,000 of profit. So if you've ever wanted to get into real estate investing, maybe in particular wholesaling real estate, or if you're not familiar with what that is, make sure you stay to the end of the video. We're gonna be talking about all of that right now and how you can do it with no additional money out of your pocket, but instead, the money that you just might get from your stimulus. So first, let's talk about who's gonna get paid from their stimulus. So the eligibility requirements of the next stimulus check are gonna be just a little bit different than the last one. So individuals earning less than $75,000 and couples making under $160,000 would still receive the full $1,400 stimulus check, and then, of course, payments would start phasing down from there. Now, what we saw in the last stimulus check, that basically if you made about $5,000 more than the cutoff, it would still continue to phase out, as opposed to this particular bill and the way it's written right now with the proposal and everything like that. It looks to me like if you get up to about that $80,000 mark for a single person, then it'll just go to zero. So the phase out happens very rapidly and very quickly. So obviously with the new eligibility rules, there's a ton of people that might not get any money at all. But if you're watching the video, then I'm gonna assume that you're gonna get this stimulus check, and I'm gonna show you how you can take that money, invest it into wholesaling real estate, and become a real estate investor in 2021, which honestly is not a bad idea considering that we might be on the verge, the brink of a housing market collapse, a real estate collapse. And I'll be honest with you, okay? A housing market bubble, a real estate collapse is like prime time for investing into the world of real estate. Besides, it's a lot less risky than Bitcoin, okay? I mean, let's be honest. I love Bitcoin, by the way. I love Dogecoin. I love Ethereum. I love the entire cryptocurrency market, but I'm not entirely sure that I would take my $1,400 and put it all into Bitcoin, okay? To me, that seems a little bit risky, and instead I think I would rather learn a skill that can continue to pay me time and time and time again, especially going towards a down market. And everybody says fortunes are made in a bear market, in a down market, especially in the world of real estate investing. So if you wouldn't mind doing me a huge favor before we jump right into the video, taking just a quick second and just smashing that like button for the YouTube algorithm, kind of like this guy right here. So what we're talking about, of course, is wholesaling real estate. Now, wholesaling real estate is more of a skill, more of a side hustle than it is actually an investment, okay? So if you're not familiar, really quick, wholesaling real estate is essentially where I find a house below market value and I lock it up under contract with the seller. So I'm acting as the buyer on the contract with the seller, and I'm getting the property below market value. For whatever reason, the seller needs to sell. Maybe they lost their job, the house needs a lot of work, whatever the case is. But instead of actually buying the property, instead of buying the house, I'm turning around and I'm flipping my contract that I have with the seller to a cash buyer, okay? And I'm flipping the contract for a little bit of profit, a little bit of arbitrage. So let's say I get the property under contract for 100 grand, but the property's really worth like 175 or 200. When it's all fixed up, said and done, I'm just gonna take that contract and I'm gonna sell it to a cash buyer for like 105 grand. So therefore I'm gonna make 5 grand, okay? But there's still gonna be plenty of meat left on the bone for the end buyer, the cash buyer, that's either gonna fix and flip it or they're gonna keep it as a rental property or whatever they're gonna end up doing with it. So with wholesaling real estate, really the main thing that you have to do is you have to find the house that is below market value. And honestly, this is where everybody gets confused, they don't understand, they like give up and they run the other direction. But I promise you, it is not that complicated and anybody can do it. So what I would encourage you to do is I would encourage you to find a strategy that you want to use to find motivated sellers, okay? There's a lot of different strategies out there, and if you were to go watch somebody else's wholesaling video, which by the way, I've made a ton, so if you haven't already, definitely subscribe to my channel, okay? But you want to find a strategy that works to find potential motivated sellers, and you just want to do that every day until you find one, okay? Whether that's like literally cold calling motivated sellers, sending motivated sellers a text message, sending them an email, going up and knocking on their door. There are so many different ways that you can find a seller that is interested in selling their property below market value. Now, I've got a couple of links in my description right down below that are going to show you how I personally find motivated sellers every single month on the month. A couple of my favorite are like Driving for Dollars. I've got some good data down there where you can cold call them, you can send them a text message. There's so many different ways, especially nowadays. It's like all it really boils down to is just like getting a hold of them. I mean, literally send them like a Facebook message, okay? Send them a DM on Instagram. I mean, however you can get a hold of them and tell them that you're interested in buying their property, that's pretty much all it is, right? So now the next thing you have to figure out is like, what is below market value? You're like, Austin, yeah, but you keep referring to like below market value, and below market value is really simple. It's just taking the ARV, which stands for the after repaired value, which basically just means what is the property going to be worth when it's all fixed up, said and done, right? And then you're gonna take that number, and there's a couple of ways to do it. And again, I've made a lot of videos on my channel, okay? So if at any point you get confused while watching this video, then stay to the very end, of course, smash the like button, subscribe to my channel, and go watch other videos, okay? It's just, this is like a ballpark estimate, okay? You wanna offer typically anywhere from 50 to 75 cents on the dollar, AKA 50 to 75% of the ARV. You can typically find the ARV by looking at Zestimate, by looking at a couple of the other softwares that I have linked down below. So definitely go check those out, okay? Again, I wanna make the video pretty simple for today's video because I really wanna make it about taking your $1,400 stimulus check, investing a little bit of that money into marketing, right? To finding a seller that wants to sell their house below market value, right? And then making an offer on that property, getting your offer accepted, getting it under contract, taking a little bit of that money and using it for what they call earnest money, okay, which is essentially like a down payment, right? But it's a refundable down payment during your due diligence or your inspection period, right? It's like when you go buy a car and you got to put like, you know, like 2% down or 5% down or whatever on the car so that they hold the car for you. Same thing with earnest money, okay? So you're gonna take a little bit of your $1,400 stimulus check and put it towards marketing, and a little bit and put it towards earnest money, right? You're gonna get the property under contract, and then you're gonna sell that contract to a cash buyer for a profit. You're gonna make your earnest money back, and you're gonna make whatever arbitrage you make between where you got it under contract for with the seller and what you sell it to the buyer for, okay? So very, very simple overall. So listen, I know it's a lot to take in. It's kind of a lot to like learn, especially if this is your first video on YouTube because you're like interested in the stimulus check and now you're watching the video. I totally get it, okay? I really, really do. You know, this is an industry that it takes a little time to learn, but what I want you to understand is that it isn't complicated, okay? It is no more complicated than going to Robinhood and buying Tesla stock or Dogecoin, okay? I promise it is not very complicated, right? I mean, theoretically, you could like walk your dog to the park, okay? You could see a property that looks like it caught on fire. It's fire damaged, okay? And you could go knock on the door, make them a cash offer, get it under contract using a one-page contract, okay? A one-page contract. Literally, like, sign your name, sign their name, put $10 up for earnest money to make it like real, and then take that and put it on Facebook, find a buyer, and you can make a profit, okay? So look, it does not have to be complicated. Now, for those of you guys that are like super confused, okay, I've got a bunch of YouTube videos on my channel talking about it, okay? I've also got a course, which I'll link down below. Feel free to get it if you want. You don't have to, okay? I didn't make the video so you'd buy the course, okay? I really didn't. I don't care either way. But go feel free to buy the course and check that out also. Also, if you're in Arizona or Florida or Texas, okay, there's a really good possibility that I'll buy the deal. You know, if you have a good deal, send it to me on Instagram or YouTube or whatever, and I will run the numbers. I'll tell you what price to get the deal at with the seller, and then I'll buy the deal from you, okay? If you're anywhere else in the country, then, you know, just watch some more videos if you're still confused. But guys, with $1,400, I mean, really, with like $400, okay, you can wholesale real estate. You could make, I mean, this could be a phenomenal side hustle for 2021. You could make an extra $5, $10, $15, $20,000 a month wholesaling real estate. And then eventually, when you learn the industry and stuff like that, you can start to flip real estate if you want. You can buy a rental property. You can learn how to house hack. You can become a real estate agent. I mean, there's so many ways to make money. You could really do whatever you want. You could even, if you really wanted to, smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I know it was kind of a fun video, kind of a simple video, but look, I really believe full-heartedly that wholesaling real estate can be very simple, it can be very easy, and it is something that if I can do, I know for a fact you can do at least once or twice every now and then. Guys, if you haven't already, I would really appreciate it if you would take a minute and just subscribe to my YouTube channel, where I'm typically talking about business, about finance, about real estate, obviously, the stock market, and everything of the sort. Okay, thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.